Hey, I'm Jesse. Let's have a devotion. We are in Ezra chapter 7. This is verse 11. This is the text of the letter King Artaxerxes gave to Ezra the priest and scribe, an expert in matters of the Lord's commands and statutes for Israel. This verse was written in Hebrew, but what comes next was written in Aramaic. Just like portions of chapters 4 through 6 of Ezra were in Aramaic, the lingua franca of the day. What comes next is also in Aramaic, now translated, of course, to English. Artaxerxes, king of kings, this is a common way for Persian kings to refer to themselves, to Ezra the priest, an expert in the law of the God of the heavens. So here is a worshiper of Ahura Mazda who thinks of himself as the king of kings, but has great regard for Ezra's God. The Persians had this way of giving beautiful, like, doxological titles to our God when referencing him. And this is true to the nature of their origins and the reason for their founding. Remember, all of this is going to take place after the events of the book of Esther, which we're currently studying. So there is hope on the horizon. God didn't just stop working, and that's what led to the onset of Esther and Mordecai and all the Jews of Persia. It's not what led to their dire circumstances. God never stopped working. That was a dark chapter in a story that would ultimately lead to his glory. And as we see in the book of Esther, God wins there too. Greetings. I issue a decree that any of the Israelites in my kingdom, including their priests and Levites who want to go to Jerusalem, may go with you. You are sent by the king and his 7 counselors to evaluate Judah and Jerusalem according to the law of your God, which is in your possession. Quick note here, you may recognize this from our study in the book of Esther. So this is in Ezra chapter 7 verse 14. I'm going to scroll down. I should have Esther chapter 1 verse 14 here. All right, do you remember these guys? I think I referred to them as the He-Man Woman Haters Club. These are the 7 officials of Persia and Media who had personal access to the king and occupied the highest positions in the kingdom. This was a tradition that Xerxes, Ahasuerus, the king in our series in Esther, practiced, and his son Artaxerxes carries on the same practice. So here they are again, right? These same 7 counselors that have direct access to the king, and as we've seen, they also maybe sometimes just take the signet ring with his permission and just write what they want. You are also to bring the silver and gold the king and his counselors have willingly given to the God of Israel who is dwelling in Jerusalem. And all the silver and gold you receive throughout the province of Babylon, together with the freewill offerings given by the people and the priests to the house of their God in Jerusalem. See how things are going to end after the events of the book of Esther? Never despair, never despair. Then you are to be diligent to buy with this money bulls, rams, and lambs, along with their grain and drink offerings, and offer them on the altar at the house of your God in Jerusalem. You may do whatever seems best to you and your brothers with the rest of the silver and gold, according to the will of your God. Deliver to the God of Jerusalem all the articles given to you for the service of the house of your God. You may use the royal treasury to pay for anything else needed for the house of your God. Wow, there's a giant Persian blank check that is just given to fund like the reconstruction and the free worship to be carried out by the people of God. This is worship of God on the dime of the Persian Empire. Look at how God is going to use the events of this story after Xerxes succeeds the throne to after Artaxerxes succeeds to the throne of Ahasuerus in the book of Esther. Man, keep your eye on the horizon and look at how God provides, and provides so incredibly generously here. I've alluded to this before. I've got mixed emotions about it, but man, you couldn't help but take them up on this. Like they are being instructed by Artaxerxes to buy bulls and rams and lambs and grain and drink offerings. And all of this is funded with Persian money. And so it makes you think for a little bit like, well, yeah, but if it's worship that doesn't cost you anything personally, does that take away from the worship? Man, I don't think it detracts from the value, that's for sure. God can use any resource he wants. Everything is ultimately his, even that which belongs to the people who don't actually worship him, even that which belongs to people who worship Ahura Mazda, which Artaxerxes may have. It's so encouraging to see that God can just do this. He can just write a blank check. He can just fund what he wants. At the Redemption Church, man, we've been blessed with generous donors. If God is using this text and this study in the book of Esther to draw upon your heart to give to our building campaign, please do. I can think of no cooler way to directly apply this text to the context of the Redemption Church right now. Man, look at what God is able to do. He can fund anything. Okay, ultimately, especially when it comes to reinstituting Old Testament worship practices in Jerusalem, money is of no issue. God has absolute access to everything. Man, this is a big resolution. This is an over the top, like even beyond a winning lottery ticket. This is above and beyond provision. This is immeasurably more than you could ever ask or imagine. You may do whatever seems best to you and your brothers with the rest of the silver and the gold according to the will of your God. We saw in a previous devotion how they had they even botched the specs at one point for the temple, thinking it was twice as high as it actually was. That doesn't seem to really bother the Persians. They're willing to give a blank check to reestablish worship here. So now we've seen the original founding, the confirmation of the founding authorization by King Cyrus, the original king of Persia, to let the people of God do what they've got to do. And then that's reified by King Darius. And now here in this text, we have it on record as well that Artaxerxes would do this. And now in the book of Esther, we see Artaxerxes' father Xerxes likewise get to just give full authority to Esther, right, and Mordecai, and they write this thing, and it just kind of has Xerxes' signature on it. It's possible that in this text in Ezra, that Ezra may have been the one who wrote this, and Artaxerxes signed it. If he's keeping 7 counselors like his dad did, he may have also kept that same practice, right? But wow, how cool is that? We've seen confirmation from the Word of God, from the founding King Cyrus, and then King Darius, now King Xerxes in our study of Esther, and now here in the book of Ezra, it happens under Artaxerxes' reign. God is able to use absolutely anyone for anything. No one is off limits. No one is beyond the reach of God to use for his purposes, to bring himself glory. That includes the U.S. government. That includes the Washington state government. That includes the city of Renton and Issaquah and Kent and Bellevue and Seattle. That includes your boss. That includes you, my friend. God is able to use anything he wants because everything is his.